Welcome back to the show. I hope you're enjoying the conversation that we had with Sally, but it also ties into what our approach is when it comes to nutrition and exercise and the whole 9 yards. And we do know that, based on science that's coming out and research is being done in the field, of not only neurological problems, but also cardiovascular issues, they're all studying, looking at the effects of a keto diet, a low carbohydrate diet. Because we do know when a person eats lower carbohydrates, inflammation goes down. You may ask the question, how? Why? Because the effect of sugar on all your cells in the human body, it initiates an inflammatory process in the body. And insulin's the key to that process. Because when you look at the diet in general, our diets today are extremely processed. So when you buy something that's down one of the aisles and you read the label, and you see vegetable oil or soybean oil or safflower oil, okay, or any of those types of oils that are processed out, those are literally hydrogenated oils. Literally, they don't spoil that easily, and they have a longer shelf life. They're also what we call omega-6 fatty acids. You have omega-6, omega-3, and you have basically those fatty acids that don't do anything much at all. They have no negative effect, which are monounsaturated fatty acids like olive oil and avocado oil. But your omega-6 are going to come from your seed oils. And we have seed oils in everything that we eat today. All your processed foods, and of course, your salad dressings are loaded with seed oils. And the omega-6 oils are the ones that actually are converted into the liver into what we call inflammatory prostaglandins, hormones, literally, to cause inflammation. So when you think of a balance there, and you look at oxalates in general, and what she's saying here, and a lot of these are in processed foods as well, with high levels of omega-6 fats, inflammatory fats, and a high carbohydrate diet, and you're in a chronic state of inflammation. But when you reverse that process and you cut these foods out, not only are you eliminating the oxalates from the diet, you're also lowering insulin levels, which initiates the switchover process in the liver of converting these seed oils into inflammatory prostaglandin hormones, things that cause inflammation, swelling, because they're hormone active fats. Where you look at the olive oil and avocado oil as not being that, because they cannot be converted. Now the omega-3, the we call good fats. You find these literally in like flaxseed. All right, and I'll tell you the negatives of that in a minute. And you find that in animal-based, range-fed animals in the fat of the animal. And in wild salmon, wild caught, not the kind where they put in in a little lake and they feed them all the junk that they feed them, and the fatty acid composition is different. Well, that omega-3 fat, they can't do anything with it. It doesn't have a long shelf life. It becomes rancid. It spoils. And those omega-3 fats are what takes inflammation down. So when you look at this in general, you're looking at the positive health promoting effects of fish oil on inflammation, and fish oil on healthy coronary, on healthy arteries. But unfortunately, people, they don't eat enough wild-caught fish to supplement the amount of omega-3 fatty acids they need to get in the diet versus the omega-6, which is in basically all your processed foods. So I do this in a supplement form. And I've done it for many, many years. And of course, you can look at, my triglycerides are in the 30s, that kind of, it's just very obvious. So dietary shifting or changing your approach to it is extremely critical when it comes to your well-being and your health. Unfortunately, the message that Sally's trying to get across to our listeners, to people in this country, many of us don't hear it. Because mainstream media is not going to cover this. That's why shows like mine are so important for our listeners out there, because you're getting information you do not normally get through cable TV and your network television sets. It's just not there. So if you're looking to improve your well-being, then you need to pay more attention to what the human body requires. As she said here, hunter-gatherer. She's 100% right. And when we look at all the evidence that's coming out on neurological problems, from Parkinson's disease to MS to Alzheimer's and dementia, ALS, a lot of this is tied to nutrition. Here's one for you. This is from Keck School of Medicine at University of Southern California. A growing body of research links type 2 diabetes with risk for Alzheimer's. Type 2 diabetes, also known as adult onset diabetes, is a chronic disease impacting an estimated 34 million Americans. If left untreated, it can lead to a host of complications, including blindness, heart disease, and stroke. Researchers are also now finding possible connections between diabetes and increased risk for developing Alzheimer's. A recently completed British study of over 10,000 men and women tracked the development of diabetes and dementia within a group of between 1985 and 2019. What they learned was that the earlier the onset of diabetes, the greater risk of developing dementia later. Even with controlling other risk factors for dementia, such as race, heart conditions, and physical activity, researchers found a correlation between diabetes and dementia. The researchers observed the age at which diabetes was initially diagnosed correlated with a risk of developing dementia. For example, a 70-year-old man diagnosed with type 2 diabetes had an 11% increased risk of developing dementia later. Comparatively, those who develop diabetes younger, which is happening now, had a greater risk of developing dementia later in life, a 53% chance of risk for developing dementia for those diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 65, and a 77% risk at the age of 60. Up to 81% of people living with Alzheimer's are estimated to have type 2 diabetes. 81%. And I guarantee you, if the numbers were accurate, you'll find it to be even higher. That's why many experts are now calling type 2 diabetes type 3. I'm sorry, Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Your body is designed to use fat for fuel. Do you realize that? We didn't have the availability of all the types of foods that we have today as soon as 100 years ago, or even less than that. Go back a couple hundred years ago, or let's say 1,000 years ago. We didn't have these foods. People didn't eat 3 meals a day, and they didn't eat 3 meals and 3 snacks. If you talk to a lot of nutritionists today, they push eating 3 meals and 2 or 3 snacks a day. Not necessary. Twice a day, anthropologists, paleontologists will tell you our ancestors ate maybe twice a day, a lot of times once a day, and they went days without eating. Now you can say, well, Lance, they died younger. Yeah, because accidents, infection, stuff like hard living. Today, you have a lot of people walking around there like a living corpse. And I hate to put it bluntly, but it's true. Why? They feel like garbage. They have all kinds of health issues going on. The only thing keeping them alive is medication. And of course, we know a lot of those medications have side effects, which require other medications to take care of the side effects from the medications they're presently taking. Just like Sally said, all the things that she experienced and other people experience from oxalate overload mimic a lot of the symptoms they put you on drugs to deal with when it's tied to your food. Unfortunately, many of us don't get this information, or if they do, they put it on the side and say, I'll deal with this later. You don't want to do that. You don't want to deal with it later. You want to deal with it now, before it turns into a health crisis that you have to try to manage with medications. Baby boomers. The only way to do this is by making lifestyle changes. It's the only way you can do this.